Yes.
And Mrs. Sageman.
Yes.
They were originally supposed to go into closed session with one of our attorneys on pending litigation, but apparently there was a mix-up on his calendar, so we will not be going into closed sessions. Any citizen participation? No? Okay, agenda adjustments?
Yes, I'd ask that we remove the policy committee report, 22-1607. We just got that work done on Friday, and it's still going through the vetting process, and it's not ready for public consumption at this point. So I'd ask that we remove that, please, and place it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Any objections? Any other adjustments? Okay, we'll move into the next item, which is a 2015-16 budget amendment. Mr. Castillo?
All right, I just handed out again in the board packet the actual amendment as 4 columns. The,
Good question.
pardon
Do
me?
we, I'm sorry, back up. Do we have to formally vote to amend the,
Yes.
the agenda?
The agenda.
Oh,
The agenda adjustments. And you've also, yes, we have, and you've also adopted the agenda. I think you can do that in one sweep.
Okay,
as opposed to two different motions.
all right.
I would move that we adopt the agenda as amended.
Here we have a motion, support.
Support.
Roll call, please, Ron.
Mr. Lang.
Yes.
Mr. Long.
Yes.
Mrs. Sageman. Yes. Mr. Allen.
Yes.
And Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
So anyways, if you go to the page, it's got 4 columns. It starts out general fund. It starts on your left, your 2014-15 actual numbers. Those are the audited financial statement numbers. Second column is your original 15-16 budget, which we adopted back in June of 2015. Third column is what you'll be voting on today, which is your 2015-16 amended budget. And the change column is the difference between the amended and the original. If we just focus on the highlighted areas in yellow, and they're stating the class state revenue, we've got a decrease of 595, due mainly to our 80 student loss. So you take our 80 students times 7,391, comes up to approximately 595. As we all know, that's been our biggest issue that we've been dealing with this fiscal year. In the federal revenue class, which is just below, which is Title I and Title II mainly, we have an increase of 275 from our original budget, mainly to a carryover and increases in Title I and Title II funding. That has no effect on fund balance because our revenues have to equal expenses. So we get more federal revenue, it's offset with more federal expense. Going on the expenditure side, the main point of emphasis in yellow is the added needs. We had an increase of $360,000 due to, again, the offsetting increase in our Title I expenses. We also had an increase in special education costs of about $125,000 due to EI program costs, alternative education placements, consultant costs, and so forth that we have built from the ISD, which came in after the fact that were new billings that we didn't have in prior years in some cases. If we go below under support services to our business office, in yellow we have a $98,000 increase. That is where the lawsuit for the former principal comes into play and other potential lawsuits which are budgeted for. One item of note in the business office section, if you look under the 2014-15 actual and 15-16 original, you'll see an increase from $390 to $469. That is because of the state aid no interest expense increase that we had about $80,000. We had to use a 3% interest rate versus 1.5% to finance your state aid note. So that's basically the cause of that entire increase is no interest. Special education and transportation also played effect. If you look there, an increase of $53,000. We had some students that we had to transport, early childhood program, and another student that we had to have a special arrangement for, so that caused an increase there. The bottom line, if you look under revenues over expenses, toward the bottom in column 3, you've got a net income of $276,000. which is still positive, and that's good, but we had budgeted at the beginning of the year to be at 1.98 million, or $1,098,000. So we had a decrease of $822,000 from what we budgeted for, and again, that's mainly due to the student loss count. At the end of the year, we're projected to have a fund balance or deficit of 1.4 million, which is a 9% fund deficit, which is obviously something we want to work on. But that is an increase or an improvement over the 20% fund deficit we had as of June 30th, 2014. As you see in the first column, we had our deficit at $3,044,000 at that time. So we are making some headway here. We're moving in the right direction. It's just not quite as quickly as we had planned. So the next step is this, after you vote on it and hopefully approve it, the budget will be submitted to Treasury and they'll set their preliminary review date, and the process will start playing out from there. The second page I have is just simply a big picture overview. It's titled Bridgeport's Public Community Schools Financial Projection, and it just shows if you go to the 15-16 net income projection area, it shows how we started out at 1.98 June adoption in terms of what we budget for net income, and it gives you in a big picture view of what the reasons are, how we got down to the 276, 459. Again, the student loss, the former employee settlements, and special education cost overages are the main reasons. So that's in a big picture view where we're at. I'll take any questions at this point.
We did have our recount on students after we lost that because of the snow day. Where are we at with that?
Well, we did have the count, and it came out slightly less than what we had in the fall, but that's, I think, natural during the year. You tend to lose students, so it's not really a clear indication where we'll be in next October. This next 10% represent the total count, and that's going to affect 16-17. We're done with 15-16 in terms of our count, because that we take the previous spring and the current fall for 15-16.
Okay, so the students that we lost on this count day are really not looked at in this.
No, we haven't finalized either. We're still working.
But it's not reflected in 15-16. That's going to be for 16-17. This count just had.
You're asking going forward?
No, it doesn't have to be in here, so that's.
No, right.
Going
But
forward.
going forward, we will bring that report to you.
How many more?
Pardon?
Do you have a number again?
No, I do not. They're still working on the child count
Okay.
We have 10 days
after.
the actual count day to actually count students. So some students might have been absent, sick, or whatever, and we still have time to capture all of those. We haven't hit that 10 days.
She says 10:30.
Oh, 10 days.
Because actually the numbers won't be verified through the ISD and audited and actually for 30 days. 30 days after the count day.
Any other questions? We're just looking forward. I think we talked in finance that some of these special education costs will be eliminated or greatly reduced next year, specifically on the transportation side.
Well, we're going to try to consolidate and look for different answers in that area. Yes, that's the plan.
Okay, if there's no other questions, entertain a motion to accept the amended budget.
I'll make that motion.
For support?
Support.
Motion and support. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please. Robin?
Mrs. Sageman? Yes. Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
And Mr. Nelson?
Yes. Okay, the policy committee report has been removed for this meeting. The next item on the agenda is legal counsel discussion. Ms. Selby?
This is a formality, hopefully, for us. We contracted, at least on a one-time basis, for a law firm to handle one of our recent legal issues. And right now, we're still technically without formal legal
subsequent to that meeting, we got another bill from an attorney that was handling one of our issues. And based on a telephone conversation with past President Bruns, he says that we never gave them the direction to do what they did, and that would make a $1,700 bill. And my observation is a couple of the firms that we paid more than we would have had we had somebody beside the county. I think they took a lot more time to deal with some of these things. And maybe
Well,
they should.
we've had some issues, yeah.
The other thing about this, the attorney that's assigned us at this point is he also has a residence in Bay City, so he hasn't traveled from Lansing to Bridgeport. He's stopped on his way to Bay City or coming home to Bay City. And so that in and of itself, they're there just about every weekend, and so that in and of itself will save some of that travel possibly might otherwise occur. So,
Absolutely.
any other questions or discussion? If not, I entertain a motion.
So moved, we appoint Truman Law as our attorney of record for the remainder of the school year.
Support? Support. We have a motion of support. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Robin, roll call please.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mrs. Sageman? Yes. And Mr. Nelson?
Yes. Okay, we have board and superintendent comments. Mr. Allen?
No comments, thank you.
Ms. Sageman?
I'd like to commend all the people that were rewarded or honored last week at the Bridgeport First Run yearly awards deal. And also state that this Thursday will be the last girls' home game of the season, and the following Thursday will be the last boys. And I'm telling you, you need to see those ninth grade players. I mean, they are absolutely, I've never seen it in the 20 years that I've kept score. I've never seen a team like them.
Mr. Long?
No comment.
Mr. Wright?
Good, thank you.
Just have a couple. One, you're right, but what the chamber does is a really neat thing, especially recognizing Educator of the Year and Student of the Year. This year they had a record crowd. They almost ran out of seats. So that's a really neat thing that many people come out to see those awards. That's a good thing. I apologize for the mix-up. I'm not sure what happened with Mr. Mayor's calendar. That was kind of the focus of this meeting, was to go into closed session over some pending issues, but obviously he's not here, so we'll have to postpone that. So thank you for your attendance this evening anyhow. So,
I'll make sure that I touch bases with Attorney Mayor so he can be, if that's your pleasure, be present for the next meeting. Couple of reminders. Monty Brown and Vanessa Guerra are speaking to Bridgeport High School students this Friday, February 26th, at 2:30 assembly. So they're talking to the students, and then they will be formally inducted into the Bridgeport Wall of Fame. And so if you get a chance, please come out for that. This is also a reminder that March is coming up, and March is reading month, and I think that Title II is professional development, district-wide. Title I is improving basic programs. And that's right now, the two buildings that receive Title I money